They will answer you with screams.
Call you evil. A monster. And give you this. So you tell me, are you evil? Are you a monster?
Anton Castillo, or El Presidente, portrayed by the talented actor Giancarlo Esposito, was poised to be Far Cry's defining villain, a dictator with the potential to perhaps rival the series' most iconic antagonists. With Esposito's chilling performance as Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad, the expectations were sky high for me for the line of Yara. Yet for many players, and in my case myself, after recently finishing Far Cry 6, Anton feels like a missed opportunity by Ubisoft, falling short of the legacy set by Far Cry's greatest villains. So what went wrong? To understand why Anton Castillo doesn't quite measure up to the standards we hoped, we need to go back and explore his character as a whole. Welcome back to the channel everyone. If you love deep dives into video game narratives, you're in the right place. Today, we ask the question, despite Giancarlo Esposito's stellar performance, why doesn't the character Anton Castillo not live up to the Far Cry villain standard? So we'll tap into the story's untapped potential, the gameplay decisions, and more. And let's get started. Anton Castillo's story has all the makings of a compelling Far Cry villain. Raised under his father's iron-fisted regime in Yara, a fictional island inspired by Cuba, Anton inherits his brutal legacy. After the death of his father by the rebels, he becomes El Presidente, or the President, promising to restore Yara as a paradise through economic prosperity. His method? Producing Viviro, a supposed cancer-curing drug, at the cost of enslaving his people in harsh labor camps. This premise sets up a powerful commentary, a dictator justifying atrocities for profit, while the global powers turn a blind eye to the abuses for access to Viviro. It's a concept that resonates with real-world issues like the selective outrage over international conflicts for economic gain. Now this is a powerful setup for a dictator whose ambition blinds him to extreme cruelty. But then, this is where it falters. Far Cry 6 doesn't fully explore this theme, I feel. One standout moment is Anton's interview with a US reporter where he delivers a scathing critique of American hypocrisy.
Stuck Viviro, a cancer treatment that extends the lives of millions around the world, except in the United States. My own father is stage 4. Why do you make Americans wait?
It's very American to expect what does not belong to you.
You refuse diplomatic overtures, even promises to lift the blockade.
I am sorry about your father, but Americans will wait, just like everyone else.
Yesterday, your network, Yaravision, was hijacked by rebels. They called for the liberation of so-called outcasts from Viviro labor camps. Is Viviro produced with slave labor?
Truth or lies?
The truth, of course.
Yara did not write the playbook. Slavery was your first corporation, 1800 to 1860. Cotton was your #1 export. Grown by whom?
Just a second.
Slaves. 4 million Americans worth $3.5 billion. The #1 asset in your economy was people who look like me. What is that called?
A history lesson?
A head start.
America is not alone.
Correct. Children sew our clothes. Sweatshops build our phones. And Viviro saves millions of lives. Do you think that those lives care where it comes from? When Yara becomes paradise, when I give my Viviro to America, my methods, your questions, no one will care.
The acting performance here is electric, showcasing Anton's intellect and conviction and challenge to the West, but this is only a rare highlight in such a long game. The game buries this narrative under repetitive missions and side content, leaving the themes of global corruption underdeveloped. Knowing Ubisoft, I should have expected the repetitive taking down this base then going on to the next thing. It gets really tiring, and I think it dragged the game down. Compare this, however, to Far Cry 3, where Vaas Montenegro's definition of insanity speech hammers home his chaotic and nihilistic worldview, or Far Cry 4, where Pagan Min monologues weave his personal tragedy into the political power. Anton's story has potential, to be profound, but it feels like an afterthought. What makes Far Cry villains unforgettable is their direct and personal presence. So in Far Cry 3, Vaas' Montenegro is a force of nature. His volatile energy shines in the moments like his iconic rant. Like, this dude is hands-on, on the scene, kidnapping and tormenting you directly and keeping you on edge throughout until he dies. But he has such an electric presence of the 40 minutes total in the entirety of Far Cry 3 that he is unforgettable. In Far Cry 4, Pagan Min calls you on the radio, taunting with charm and menace, and in bloody good style. The guy had fashion sense, if you're asking me, like when he casually kills a soldier with a pen and he's got that suit on. Far Cry 5's Joseph Seed looms over you with the cult-like control alongside his interesting family. These villains aren't just background figures, you feel as if they're always present in some way, shaping your journey. In contrast, Anton Castillo, however, feels like a shadow. Despite the commanding performance, he is confined to sparse cutscenes over the course of such a long game. Ubisoft, please, cut down your game lengths. And he often lectures his son Diego or delivers generic villain monologues. Unlike Vaas's unpredictable ambushes or Pagan's direct taunts, Anton doesn't really engage with you directly as the player, personally, until later in the game. While Anton commands respect as a dictator, he doesn't inspire the fear or fascination of his predecessors, making him less memorable. The lack of interaction or quality of them makes the revolution against him at times feel detached, reducing Anton to a distant antagonist figure rather than a formidable foe you're up against. Anton's lack of presence is compounded by Far Cry 6's underwhelming side villains as well. In Far Cry 5, the Seed family, John, Jacob, and Faith, each had distinct personalities and motives. John had a sadistic charisma, Jacob's militaristic control, and Faith's manipulative allure made them memorable with clear impacts on the story. You understood their roles and felt their influence in whichever region you went in. Even Far Cry 4's humor added depth to the game's conflicts. These characters didn't feel like a filler, they had a role to play. They felt like they were a part of the story that was written well. Anton's generals are forgettable. Names like General Roll or Commander Rosario barely stick as they lack distinct traits or motives beyond being evil and serving as a stepping stone toward the story towards Anton. Unlike the Seed family, whose backstories and actions made them compelling, these characters have no depth, making the stories to confront Anton feel hollow. And yeah, there is backstories on what they've done, but it didn't feel as well written. It felt just really cliche, what you would expect. And when even the unsupporting antagonists, they're just the side villains, can't carry the story's weight, it underscores how underutilized Anton himself as the main antagonist is. Another key issue is Far Cry 6 camera perspective. Previous Far Cry games used first-person cutscenes to immerse you in the protagonist's perspective. When Vaas leans in snarling, this scene just makes you feel trapped. Pagan Min's dinner scene in Far Cry 4 puts you across from his unpredictable charm. Joseph Seed's eerie gaze even in the beginning of Far Cry 5 locks you in his world. This intimacy between the antagonist and the protagonist makes these villains feel like personal threats, amplifying their impact. Ubisoft's decision for Far Cry 6 to opt to the third-person cutscenes, it changes everything. In a key scene where Danny is tied up and interrogated, you're watching from a distance. It's a film. In a first person, you would have felt the aura of Anton's presence or his general's brutality. Instead, it feels detached, reduced Anton to just another antagonist. The shift was likely to emphasize Danny Rojas' vibrant character, which is a great addition, I will admit, since I enjoyed the character quite well compared to Far Cry 5's silent protagonist, but it sacrifices the intimate connection to Anton, diminishing his impact further as a villain. Now, I actually completely overlooked this factor, but I've included it and I think it's really important, which is Anton's relationship with his own son Diego. Now, this is meant to add depth, mirroring his own upbringing under his father's regime. The game suggests a nuanced arc. Diego, a 13-year-old caught between his father's tyranny and his own morality, could represent hope for Yara's future. Early on, he resents Anton and his tyranny, maybe not so much as Anton as his father, but his father's rule, and attempts to flee in a barge to the United States. Later, in the game, he seems swayed by his ideology and then ultimately questions it. This idea that a child cannot be fully corrupted or that the next generation might rise above is compelling, but Diego's presence is sporadic and not in enough cutscenes in my opinion. His character shifting is unpredictable. It shifts between defiance, loyalty or silence, lacking the coherence of, say, Pagan Min's tragic backstory tied to AJ's mother in Far Cry 4. However, I do feel like it's important to acknowledge that he is a child and children will, to expect so much drama from a child is unrealistic. So I could easily sort of overlook this. Anton's brief mention of his childhood hints at potential, but we never learn enough to understand his motivation beyond building a paradise. I wish there was more depth, more to him as a human or as a character. But this leads into the next part, the sudden reveal that Anton has cancer. It's introduced late with little build up and feels like an attempt to humanize him, but that feels somewhat flat, like, oh, okay, he just suddenly has cancer, okay, what's next to do? But here is the moment that really peeved me off. After battling through Yara the entire main storyline, you have the final confrontation with Anton, and it is a critical misstep and a disappointment. So you face Anton and Diego, and Anton's speech is about shaping his son as his legacy, and this sets up a powerful moment echoing the personal stakes, even though this is so late in the game, and you as Danny promise to protect Diego, further raising the tension. But the resolution falters, because, spoiler alert, in a shocking move, Anton shoots Diego in a misguided act of mercy, then takes his own life, denying you the chance to defeat him. This abrupt ending feels unearned, unlike Far Cry 3 in battle with Vaas through his chaotic and hallucinating battle sequence. By removing my agency as the player, as Danny, the finale undermines Anton's threat and all the work I did to get to this moment, leaving the confrontation, in my humble opinion, as a dismal opportunity to cap his arc. After that long-ass campaign, I was washed and I felt unsatisfied with the ending, that I was like, yeah, I need to make a video on this because there is no way that happened. It was so disappointing. Giancarlo Esposito is a phenomenal actor and he's capable of portraying villains with intensity and charisma. His casting as Anton promised a villain who'd dominate Far Cry 6. In moments like the reporter interview, he delivers his commanding presence that makes Anton feel like a true dictator standing up to the Western powers. But unfortunately, as mentioned before, Anton is overshadowed, and it's to the point where it's so bad that the own side antagonists, like his generals such as Ana Benitez, who despite their generic and bland nature, are more active in the conflict. Good acting, to put plainly, does not equal a good story, but it can make it more bearable. Ubisoft could have crafted a villain for Far Cry 6 that was as memorable as its predecessors, or dare I say even go up and beyond, as I had personally foolishly hoped, as I see now. Instead, the limited screen time of Anton and the majority lack of direct engagement until much later in the game makes him feel like a distant antagonist. The game's focused on Danny and the revolution is engaging at times, but it leaves Anton as a supporting figure rather than a central threat he needed to be. To put more plainly, poor writing and design choices kept Anton from joining the ranks of potential Far Cry's greatest villains. But here's my favourite part of the video, and that is asking you, my viewers, what you think. Did Anton work for you as a good villain, or was he a letdown, and perhaps you could give alternative narratives that could have made this experience a lot better? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let's discuss. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, subscribe and share with your friends. And hopefully we can make it to 100 subscribers in the next 3 months perhaps. I'm reading all your comments, so please tell me if there's like a particular game you want next, because I need ideas sometimes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Green Chicken signing out. Peace.